Welcome, Kumu and Deborah, Nālani. So this conversation is really aimed at healing conversations with your clients. So whether you are a Lomilomi practitioner or a holistic practitioner, and perhaps offer a beautiful healing experience for clients. But this was asked of me many times over the years, and I have given answers, but perhaps not. Let's explore these answers and the questions around this. And I'm so grateful for to sit in this circle with all of you and to hear Kumu, your and Deborah as well, your offering of how you can guide us practitioners in these questions. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to read out something that was asked of me today. I just completed a Lomilomi training, introduction, and even though it's only the first part, we already understand or sense, should I say, the depth of Lomilomi as a healing art. So this was asked of me. I know that Lomilomi is healing work. And I know I can get into that space with a client during a session, but I feel ill-equipped to engage in conversation when a deep problem is confided in me. What do I say or not say? How do I respond? Do I give advice or just listen? What if I say the wrong thing or give the wrong advice to somebody who is vulnerable? I'm not qualified to offer emotional and psychological support.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Kumu Julia Nālani Adams. I'm a 51st generation healer and teacher from the lineage of Kumu Nui Lawrence Kalainia Kamani Aki of Halawa Valley, Molokai. Mahalo. So Nālani, we need to put the clock on, because folks, you know, we made these conversations be 30 minutes. And our first one was 90 minutes. And last time it was just before 60 minutes. So this time we're really trying to stay in that 30-minute zone. So it's a big conversation. Firstly, let me acknowledge that. It's a big conversation to have. When I hear questions like that, already it tells me that the learner is akamai. So they're thinking. They're thinking about the scope of the work. They're thinking about where the work is. They're thinking about the layers and levels of that work. And they're also thinking about what if, you know, we're starting at if we're thinking about the alphabet, the way our teacher describes it, we're at the first level of A, and the learner wants to get to Z. And what has to happen is there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to happen in the middle of that. Yeah. So we can't be in a hurry to get over here to Z. We've got to learn up front. And this is why the teachings that we have in our lineage start with you. Because if you apply the teachings to yourself, that question will not exist. And if that question arises, there will also be no confusion about what your role in that is. Because you understand the teachings. And if you understand the teachings, you understand the thinking of the poʻekahiko, the ancestors. This is where the work really is for all Lomilomi practitioners. It is the very first thing we as Kumus, whether we're Hawaiian born or we're non-Hawaiians, it is the very first thing we learn, and it is a continual learning process, is to learn to think, see, feel, act, taste, smell, hear, as the ancestors did. Like, if you want to put it this way, like a Hawaiian. It is because we're not at that, we haven't become Paʻa, strong, stable, in that first teaching, that all the other questions arise about any of our healing modalities, not just Lomilomi. And so that is the first thing to think about when you are a beginning practitioner, or whether you're on the other end of the scale. That is a really important reflection question. And let me tell you why. The kapoikahiko, so the ancestors, knew the power of the spoken word. I don't know where to do that spoken word. They knew the power of silence, because they understood the power of pule, prayer. Because they understood spoken word, silence, power of prayer, they also understood vibration. There's a word for you. And because they understood spoken word, silence, pule, vibration, they understood deep listening. They mastered deep listening and the very granular essence of what deep listening actually is. Because deep listening is unimpeded listening. That's the pure listening, which is why in our training, and these two wahine will confirm that for you, why in our training we focus on deep listening exercises and activities. Why? Because today it is a lost skill. Deep listening. Don't believe me? Go out into the world. Ask a question, watch someone start to answer it before you've finished explaining what the question is. Watch people talk over you, jump in on you, misinterpret what it is you're actually asking, because it was all happening up here. Deep listening no happen here. It happens in the na'au, shoulder to shoulder, kikala, kikala, hip to hip, this area. Deep listening starts with understanding exactly what I said before. Thinking like a Hawaiian. If you think that way, if you truly think that way, then your Lomilomi practice starts to look a little bit different as it moves together. Yeah. Because the kapoikahiko understood listening at their level, therefore they understood the hula of all things. Now, what do I mean by hula? I mean the interplay, how one thing relates to another. It's this interplay of all things that they translated as vibration into the physical sense. And in a way, that's the hula of Lomilomi. And that must occur for Lomilomi to be a successful healing modality. But it's a two-way street, because the client has to get to that level of understanding too. Lomilomi is two-way, or actually it's multiple way. But when we're talking about the client practitioner interaction, it is a two-way street. The client must also come to that level of understanding. And they can get to that level of understanding because you or me, because I'm a Lomilomi practitioner too, right? Because we're already there. Because we've done the work on ourselves, the teaching work, the teachings that are of which are the foundation of all healing modalities in the thinking of our ancestors. They can get there because we as Lomi practitioners are already there. They have to get to where the ancestors are. The ancestors are over here, we're here. When they get there, they've got to move over here because that's where the ancestors are. We've got to use the teachings to get there. And so it keeps moving. So what we do before, during, and after a Lomilomi session or practice, that's what takes you there. That's what takes them there. We are the guide who takes them to the door. We give them the key, which are the teachings. And from which I said as Lomilomi itself as a healing practice and as a spiritual practice arises. And Lomilomi is a part of that. We take them to the door, multiple doors actually. We give them the key. They decide whether they're going to go in there or not. If they go in there, we can accompany them then. That's the healing conversation. So they're not in that room by themselves. They're not in that place by themselves. We can accompany them there, companion them. This is what we call empowerment in our modern day words. That's how we empower them to take action, to take one small step. And it's how we help them, listen carefully, how we help them to find and access their mana, their mana. They have to do it. We resource them to do it through helping them to understand themselves better. And how do we help them to understand themselves better? We learn the teachings. We learn them at different layers and levels, of course, because everything is layers and levels. But we help them to have that level of conversation with themselves by understanding the teachings first. We have to understand what Aloha really means. Really understand it. We will only really understand it if we've practiced it ourselves, in helping ourselves to unravel our own stuff, if you like, because we need to be that clear vessel. If we learn how to apply this to our situation and then in our lives, then we know when something pops up for our clients. Me. Very funny, folks, because that's my teacher messaging me. Funny, that's how it works, right? And we're live, so there you go. I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, when we apply that to ourselves, then when we hear it, hear the opportunity for the teaching of Aloha to come into the conversation, then we can ask permission, there it is, permission from the client to offer something into that conversation. And it may sound something like, may I offer you something about what you just said from our teachings? If they say yes, I'll proceed. If they say no, fine. It's not for me to force our teachings onto someone. However, I'm building a palina with them, a relationship, every time I do that. And they may come back, you know, whenever it is they come back with the same story. And I might say, you know, I remember last time something similar we talked about. And last time, you know, you weren't ready to hear what maybe I had to offer. I'm wondering if I could offer it this time. And then my response comes from the teachings. And it might be the teaching of Aloha. It may be the teaching of Pono. It may be the teaching of I'a'o, truth. It may be the teaching of Mana. It may be the teaching of Ho'oponopono, which of course we have many conversations around what this means. It may be the teaching of Ohane, spirit. The point is, my handbag is full of teachings that when someone presents a life situation to me, I can draw from and make that offering. What they do with it next is up to them. And each one of us will work with our clients in a different way. You know, my clients, they think I'm a bit of a taskmaster. Yeah. They know they do their inner work, or they not come back because I've already helped them, and you know, with what they need so far. They need to take another step. Is my door closed to them? No, they all understand that. You know, they all understand that. I never close that door to them. But I will draw the line in the sand where it says, you know, week after week, we sit here, or not week after week, but time after time, we sit here, always with similar problems. When is it going? When are you going to be ready? What other help do you need? And is that help from me, or can I help you find somebody else to help you that might resonate with you more than me? You know, I'm not in my ego with people. And sometimes when those questions get asked, that's our fear, our ego fear. Oh, they'll think I'm a terrible therapist because I don't have the panacea to all ills that they're going to present with. They're going to think I'm terrible. What they do is they respect you as a therapist when you say, look, I may not be the right person for you here. You know, let me refer you to Halani. This is what I can tell you about Halani. Let me refer you to Louise. This is what I can tell you about Louise. Mostly they're people I know, but sometimes they're not. And sometimes I will say to people, like I said to someone the other day, you go and find the person that you feel is right for you. I've given you a list. I've given you things, qualities that that may work for you, but you've got to decide about that yourself. You find that person. When you find that person, you let me know what you think, what you found, and we can talk it over there. I'm not going to do the work for them. The hana, we call that. They got to do that. That's why I said before, it's a two-way street. We have work to do. They have work to do. If we do all the work, that's just perpetuating the same pattern. You know, that's like pressing the spin cycle in the washing machine over and over again, boing, boing, and just going around. Our job is to help them break the cycle, but we cannot break that cycle for them. So to answer the question, what is, well, I have answered the question. That's the teaching from, the ancestors. That's our teaching from our lineage. If I don't feel equipped to answer something, say it. This is not my area of expertise. If I don't feel equipped to answer something, then I have to ask, what is my foundation from which my Lomi Lomi is arising? Is that in place? Because I'm telling you, 100%, I'm telling you, as a practitioner, not as a kumu, as a practitioner, when that is not in place, that's when we have the question. When this is in place, we feel more skilled and confident. And then that door starts to open, not for them, for ourselves, because we are moving ourselves into the right relationship with the ancestors. In Lomi Lomi, in Ho'oponopono, in La'aula Paʻa, herbal medicine, whatever list it is, the ancestors are the ones doing the work. We have to have our relationship with them. That's how we become the skilled helper. That's how we become the one that people are saying, hey, yeah, go to Louise, she was really great, blah, 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 blah. Not because she solved the problem for you. If you solve the problem for someone, that's called disempowerment. You're taking away that opportunity for them to find their mana, for them to find their relationship with the ancestors. The practitioners of any kind, not just Lomi Lomi, but any kind who want to do that, they make it all about themselves. Who to that? They make the healing session about them because it's about their ego. How good am I as a practitioner? I remember years ago, someone said to me, a beginning practitioner, somebody said to me, oh, and it was in a mentoring session. So I'm the mentor one. Mentor, not mentor, the mentor. And the person says, oh yeah, Kumu Nālani, I got tears in my session today. Oh, ole. Where is that hefa? Where is that wrongdoing? That's with you, the practitioner. There is this whole myth around the big releases on the table. You know why my clients don't have the big releases on the table? Because they do it before they get on the table. Because that's where I do the work. When they're on the table, that's the healing aspect. That's the clearing out aspect. That's the bringing in aspect. That's the nurturing aspect, if you want to put those kind of words around it. Which goes back to the beginning about pule. Pule prayer must involve them. It is about them. They must also have their own pule in this, because it's a palina, a relationship that I have with my client, they have with me. When they're vulnerable and they can't find that relationship with the ancestors for themselves, that is my job. That's how I care for them. That's how I help them in my healing conversation.
Hey, Kalamai, Kumu, I'm talking about relationships with time at the moment, and we're 29 minutes in, and I just wanted to check on that, being the timekeeper, but also to say that this this real conversation, it absolutely touches the heart of a practitioner, and for me did some goosebump things around that essence of movement. You know, we're talking about the essence of movement and the ability when you, especially, I'm a fan of Path to Paʻa, especially when you're in the Path to Paʻa, you're in the knowing of how to keep moving, and it absolutely 100% is not about the practitioner, and being a client of many people here in the teachings. Yeah, absolutely is the movement, even if the movement is so minute in our temporal world, so to speak. Mahalo. So I'll go off mute now, saying 30 minutes in.
And mahalo. And is there anything that you would like to add to that, Louise? Because I am being time aware.
So many things, but really what I want to do is listen back, because your words were so rich, and the wisdom and the teachings in your words were so rich, and everything, every single sentence I wanted to pause and take in and reflect on. And I got so much from that conversation. And I just want to add in something that I've always believed is true. When you said it, I was like, yes, this is also what I want to share with my students, is that it is not all about you. It is, you can do all the training, all the courses, learn everything you can, and yes, that is your kuleana, but ultimately that takes second place to the bigger picture, which is about the spiritual connection, the spiritual support. And that is, you mentioned pule, but it's also about learning, knowing, learning and then knowing and experiencing, or whichever comes first there, the teachings. And then you won't have the question, like you said. And I still have the question. So I have a lot of work to do. Mahalo.
Well, the point is, it's about becoming a skilled helper. The point is, Lomilomi is not about technique. And I know so many people will say, well, I just want to learn how to do the technique. Well, then just go to any massage school. That's where you'll learn that. But that's not Lomilomi. Just learning the massage is not Lomilomi. Just the Lomi without the bookending of protocol is not Lomilomi. The technique without the teachings underneath it is not Lomilomi. Why? Because it tells me that you do not understand what Lomilomi is as a practice and a healing process. Goes back to what I was saying about the thinking like how the ancestors think. And thinking about, like you said, deeply reflecting on this, Louise, about, well, where does this practice actually come from? How is it that it is in place today? And very few people have it in place in their purity and in their entirety. And some Lomilomi practices are not taught publicly. No one in our lineage teaches our style publicly. Nobody. That's a couple, sacred to us, which is why we all have a different Lomilomi teacher that we practice. And all of us will practice a different style according to who we've resonated with as our teacher. I love my Lomilomi teacher. She doesn't recognize how much I love her. I really love her for how she holds the practice of Lomilomi. She's the only lineage holder in the world. There's only one, and it is her. And yet I still had to look outside of that, because there was things that I knew needed to be in place around that. So there's no judgment from me if all you're interested in with the technique, because there would be no aloha in that. That would move me out of the teaching of pono. I'm not judging you. I'm simply saying to you, if you want to be the skilled helper through the practice of Lomi Lomi, and you have questions like the one that's presented here today or this evening, then that tells you, just like me, there's a question, therefore there must be an answer. And that answer lies within the teachings. Once you have the teachings in place, just like I said with your clients, you're at the door. What you do next is up to you. Because, you know, yes, we love to create beautiful healing spaces in our healings world, you know, in our little sanctuary we create for people, make them look all pretty and beautiful smells and lovely music, and it's warm and it's nurturing and it's comforting, and people love to be in that space. You know, we have our sacred things around. I know I have my secret cupboard that my clients are always trying to look in. They always want to know what's in there. The only ones who are allowed to look in there are the children that come through. They're their children. I let them look in there. But, you know, my secret cupboard's got like little slat things on it. So you can't see it when you're sitting there, though you know something good's in there. But when you're on the table, you can sort of see. So I often sneak up on them and they're sort of looking like this, trying to see what's in there. You know, someone here might be laughing because they've done it. But Kalani. But, you know, we love to have all those things in our space. And yet it doesn't matter how much of that we have if we don't have the foundation in place from which all that beautifulness, all that beauty arises. So mahalo for the invitation. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, you know, are you going to say that people can come to learn more about it in Ireland soon?
I was going to say whether or not people listening are willing and able or interested. No, I know you're interested. I know you're interested. Kumu Nālani is coming to Ireland in April. It is a huge honor for us to have her accepted the invitation to come here and to share her lineage teachings with us. Please be in touch with me if there is an inkling in your heart to know more and to create that foundation for yourself first and for your clients. And if April is not your time, please be in touch anyway, and either with myself or with Kumu Nālani, who offers online training in Hawaiian spirituality. And that is your foundation that may be missing from your practice. So yeah, that's a handout and a reach out to you, and we are so here for you and so enthusiastic to guide you and to support you and to yeah, just to do the work together.
I think that's the important thing, together. We have to do it together, and we have to move together as a global Lomi Lomi community. We have to do it regardless of who our kumus are. But we have to do it in accordance with the purity of the ancestral teachings about it. Too much distortion is happening in Lomi Lomi. We need to wind that back, folks.
It's time.
Wind it back. All right. Mahalo. Mahalo for your time.
Mahalo.
Make it aloha. My unconditional love to you. Are we finishing with a pule? Mahalo.
Would you like me? Ea mama, ea mama, ea mama. Mahalo na akua. Mahalo.
Okay, so we had a little bit of a glitch there, and Kalani, that was a really beautiful prayer, and I'd love it if you repeated it, and I'm sure you understand why I'm saying that to you, because of what just happened. Because folks, that's how the kolohe and the kepalo work, right? Live in action, that's how they work.
Pulikako, a prayer for everyone. Na akua, na amakua e poe kahiko. Mahalo and aloha kupuna of ola aina, the lands that we are joined on this online session this evening. Na akua, I mahalo you in deepest gratitude that we've experienced the essence of the teachings here this evening on Facebook. And for those people who are present, who will look and hear this video at a later date. I mahalo you for the aloha, the alignment, the expressions, the truth of what we need to practice. I ask that you make sure that these words are taken deeply into the Lomilomi practitioner community. I ask that they plant a seed within each individual so this community can move forward, being pono, being paʻa, strong and unshakable, to come together united to give services to people who are desperately in need of healing. Na akua, we mahalo you. We mahalo you for bringing us back into this session. And I ask that you continue to protect us from the kolohe and the kepalo, and allow us to be confident and strong in moving forward as we leave this call. I end this pulina akua with the traditional words that have been handed down the generations. Ea mama, ea mama, ea mama. Mahalo na akua.
Beautiful prayer. Okay, till next time, ahui ho. We're going to be over on the gram next time, I think. So hopefully we'll see you over there next Sunday, next Monday, whatever time zone you're in. Hui ho.
Aloha.